Hey everybody, Ryan here with Ray's latest. And today, the signing of Steven Matz was made official and he was added to the 40-man roster. The official deal is 2 years for $15 million for an annual value of $7.5 million per year and a $500,000 bonus if he were to be traded during the 2 years that he is with the Rays. And so this is good news, I think, for the Rays because the initial kind of reports of his contract were a little higher than what is actually official. So I think the $7.5 million for him is a perfect number, especially for a guy that you're kind of trying to get on the back end of a rotation. $7.5 million is not a far overpay, especially for Ray standards by any means. And I think that having that contract with the 7.5 million still does leave some room to gather some other players, and from where that's gonna, I think it's primarily we're still focusing kind of on that back end bullpen help, and I know the addition of Mats makes that a little more. That's kind of already an addition that we've kind of addressed is the back end of the back end of the rotation there. And so I think from a money perspective, I think the 7.5 million is a perfect number, and I think that I'm really kind of excited that that was how the contract came out, and I'm kind of excited that he's going to be joining the rotation here for the Rays, and I think that I do think that the $500,000 bonus if traded is interesting because it kind of lays out of they've talked about. I feel like Matz's camp is pretty familiar with how the Rays system works, and that's if we can't afford to pay you anymore, we are going to trade you for to get something out of you because we know you're going to leave. So I think that's kind of just a sweetener to the deal. Is like, hey, like we know how you guys operate for the most part. We're going to give you $500,000 if we do end up doing that. So I do like that deal, and the corresponding move kind of in relation to that is Tristan Peters was DFA'd from the 40-man to make room. And so this was kind of expected. We kind of already have that crowded outfield room, and Peters I would say was the lowest on the totem pole. He only had 12 plate appearances last season, didn't record a single hit or a walk, and struck out 7 of the 12 times. So it's extremely small sample size, obviously, and in baseball, it's kind of transitioning over. Like I've reiterated before, the jump from AAA to the big leagues is not necessarily a crazy one. It's still a decent jump from just an arms perspective, but all AAA is really really high guys on the 40 mans who are pretty much just kind of transitioning up and down, or they're just older guys who have been on a big league roster for a long time, and then they're early 30s, and it's all veteran guys, and you're going to see a lot more poised pitching and a lot less raw talent that you're going to see at the AAA level, and like it is AA, AA is where you have your prospects that are throwing 103. That's where AA is at, and they're it's kind of the raw prospect to a lot of younger players, a lot of lower 20s guys, kind of fresh out of college, high draft picks, kind of settle in that AA area. And then you got guys like Trey Morgan who are kind of already up at the AAA level, but it's a little different from arms to from a hitter's perspective to an arms perspective, with kind of where you settle in from a AA to AAA perspective. But he he's done a lot of things like kind of without just that standout, like something that's going to jump off the page at you. And he's got an 11.7 walk rate and an 18.1% strikeout rate, which are better than average. But he doesn't hit homers. He's never hit more than 15 in a season. And he steals about 15 bases a year. So it's not plus power. It's not plus speed. He can play kind of left, center, and right in the outfield. He can kind of play wherever. But from a statistics standpoint, his best year was in 2022. He hit 306, but in turn only hit 7 homers. And then this past season in AAA, he hit 15 homers and hit 266. And then in 2024 in AAA, he hit 12 homers and hit 238. and last year he struck out 102 times. So from that perspective, it's like there's nothing that just kind of screams he can do with what he has, and he's not going to do anything that's going to jump off the page and kind of just scream at you like, this is what I'm here to do. He can kind of do everything at an okay level. And consistency is key when it comes to players, especially guys primarily like him who are kind of just filling in, filler players on the 40-man to replace somebody that's hurt or something like that. You kind of know what you're going to get. And I think maybe a determinant of kind of going away from him so early we acquired him in 2022 in a trade to the Giants where we gave them Brett Wisely and we got Tristan Peters in return. It was also a day that we traded away Xavier Edwards and JT Chargois to the Marlins for Santiago Suarez and Marcus Johnson. And we also traded away Miles Mastrobuno to the Cubs for Alfredo Zaraga. So that was kind of a busy day back in 2020, November 15th of 2022. But from that perspective, he's had 3 years in the system. So hasn't been anything that's kind of – he made his big league debut this year and was very underwhelming. 0 for 12, 7 Ks is not ideal. But it's one of those things where he's been in the system for 3 years and he's played at the highest levels in the systems in AAA and the minor stint in the big leagues. And he just nothing's really came of it. He's been an average hitter, average homers, average stolen bases, average. So to make room on a 40-man for a new starting pitcher signing that we so dearly need in a very crowded outfield room, it's really expected. It was. And I'm curious to see kind of where he goes from a DFA perspective. I know we've seen recently the past couple DFAs, the past couple weeks, they've all kind of cleared waivers for the most part and just been traded at the end of the day. So I'm curious to see if somebody decides to claim him. And if they do claim him, they do have to add him to the 40-man. So it's interesting to see kind of where he lands, and then if he clears waivers, if we just re-get him back into the minor leagues out of the 40-man. So it's interesting to see kind of where he's going to land. And also in other news as well, and kind of I've been reiterating Adrian Hauser over and over and over again. I feel like he signed a deal today, not with Tampa Bay Rays, but with the New York Giants for 2 years, $22 million. And so that's one of those deals that kind of hurts a little bit, where you see that he's only getting that $11 million deal, and it's a team from California. So if you guys don't know kind of how baseball checks work in payroll and salary in Major League Baseball, and this goes for all professional sports, it's called the jock tax. And so you get your paycheck for where you play the game. So that's another reason why Tampa Bay and like the Buccaneers and the Miami Dolphins and the Jaguars, Orlando Magic, teams like that, and even teams in other states like this as well, you don't have a state income tax. So in California, in your state in New York, and your state income taxes are extremely high. You can get players on smaller deals that don't look as like appealing from just the staring at them perspective. But in turn, you could probably have got Hauser for, I don't know, 2 years, 20 million, 2 years, 19 million. And at the end of the day, he's going to end up with more money than he would if he played in California. So I think that kind of deal, seeing him get 11 million in California, kind of hurts a little bit, because you could have easily gotten him for $10 million a year, $9 million a year, in my opinion, with no state income tax when you're playing 81 of your games plus the 3 you play in Miami. And then you play in other states that don't have state income taxes as well. It kind of averages probably around 100 games a year where that you don't get state income tax on your paycheck. So it kind of hurts seeing that he got that little from a team in California, especially. And I know he was with the team last year, so there could have been some rough feelings in how he kind of perceived the organization. I don't know what it was like from that perspective, but just from an outside looking in perspective of it, it does kind of hurt a little bit. And I would have liked to seen a deal done with him to kind of bolster the back end of the rotation here. So you guys let me know what you guys think about the Matz deal and Peters being the one DFA'd, and also kind of any kind of thoughts, comments you guys have about Hauser signing the $11 million deal with the Giants. But you guys have a great one and have a great rest of your week.